Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So today, this is going to be a really interesting one. I feel like I say that all the time. But this one's going to be from a past life. So a message for you from one of your past lives. So these cards do have some interesting images, so I'll have to pull them out before I flip them. But we'll see which piles come through today. So we've already got the gems down today. We'll see what comes through. Okay. Got one. Pile two. Pile three. Okay. And here we've got pile four. So these will be your four piles. Let's move these around. Okay. So for pile one, you have the King of Skates with the message, lack of help, distractions, self-centeredness. Okay, for pile two, you have Kings of the East with stability, authority, gifts, and male power. So for pile four, you have the World, perfection, completion, victory, and religion. And for pile four, I will just get a post-it note. Okay, so for pile four, it's just showing a bit of booty. But we've got the Baron of Birds with theft, concealment, and running away. Okay, so these will be your four piles today. And also, if you want to know what stones or what gems are with each, for pile one, you have the Rose Quartz. For pile number two, you have the Angelite heart. For pile number three, you have the peach selenite. And pile number four, you have a cube of Howlite. Okay, so these are your piles. Feel free to check on anyone that calls to you. Got a bit of light coming through. I'll just close the blinds in a second. But what I'll do is I'll leave the description notes with the messages or with each timestamp so you can go straight to your message or to your reading. Otherwise, I'll leave you here to decide which pile is yours, and then I'll get into the shuffling process. Hello everyone, welcome to the shuffling process. So, this will be a message from a past life, one of your past lives. If it doesn't resonate as one of your past lives, take it as a message from past life that has an important message to tell you. Because while personally I feel like a lot of people do have a past life, some people may not believe that. So in that case, I would take this as a message, as you've already got here to this reading. So there may be a message here that you want to look into, have a look at. Okay. Okay, so a message from past life for each pile, please. Okay, so a message from Pastlife. Today I'm using the Hieronymus Bosch deck. It's a tarot deck. It's very different though from a tarot deck. The suits are different, the numbering's different, the cards are different. It's quite different. But that's how I picked the piles today. So not one I'd normally use for YouTube because YouTube has very particular imagery restrictions. But there's definitely nothing wrong with it. That one, pile 4, is just showing a little bit of a behind. A random message from a past life. Okay, what I do is I shuffle them beforehand, put the intentions in, and while I'm shuffling them again, I re-put the intentions back through, and just make sure that the cards have the intention of what this reading's about. Okay, we're getting 2 cards with this one. Okay. And as always, I do 2 from each tarot. Okay. I think these 2 really want to go there, so we'll give them their wish. Okay. Okay. So that finishes up the shuffling process. So thank you very much for being here and sharing your energy today. Here are your gems as well. I'll just push them down. I just have them up so that they don't damage the cards. But yeah, you can always check more piles if more piles call to you. That is absolutely fine and up to you. Very interesting cards coming out too today. So as I mentioned before, down in the description bar, you'll be able to find your pile and the timestamps. Also the little bar you'll be able to pull across to drag across to your pile as well. Otherwise, take care of yourself and I will see you in your reading. Hello pile number 1, thank you for being here. Welcome to your reading. So today you have chosen the King of Skates. And this has the message of lack of help, distractions, self-centeredness. So we'll see how this comes into your reading today. Remember, this is a reading from a past life. So some message that will help you right now with this life. You have also chosen the Rose Quartz. So I'll pop that here. Okay. So we'll start off with your Oracle cards. Your first card is Teacher. This has the light attribute of the ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. And the shadow attribute is manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits, and destructive skills. Okay, really interesting with this world opening up to like all the secrets, all the knowledge of the world. For better or worse, kind of, knowledge is just facts, but how you manipulate or change or even share that can be for good or bad, or sometimes just the knowledge that you get or that you give can be taken in a way that others use it for good or for better or for worse. It's their choice. How you choose to present that information is your choice as well. Okay. You also have Child Orphan. The light attribute is independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Shadow attribute is feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. Really interesting here. This may have come into place with this kind of, because you picked the King of Skates, lack of help, distractions, and self-centeredness. So maybe this was something where you were in a life, or this past life has lived like a really challenging one with maybe how they were taught, how they were treated. Either this is by not family, because it's feeling like with Child Orphan, it feels like, shrug what family exactly, like even if they were there, there's like this feeling of, what is that? Like having to do it alone. And what they were taught, understanding what actually was good lessons and what was bad cycles from either parent figures or parents. But I want to say just teachers, like this is like life. This almost looks like life, teachers of life. So it's like maybe they weren't teachers, maybe they were like just people on the street, and watching them interact with other people and seeing how they acted and seeing if was that right, was that fair, even if it wasn't with you. It's really interesting. It's like what is correct and what isn't. But it feels like a tough kind of challenging life, let's say, that's kind of coming through. One of the lives that had it a bit rough. Okay. You also have Golden Palace. This is reversed. And it's really interesting because Golden Palace is like a really positive kind of energy with prosperity and abundance and riches and that kind of thing. And when it's reversed, it feels like understanding right from wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like being rich doesn't make you a good person exactly. And we all know this. But there's many different ways of doing it. And we can see it today in today's society with scammers and that kind of thing. They're getting money, so they're getting wealth. But is it in the right way? Are they doing it the right way? Is it fair? Is it fair on the people they're doing that to? There's many kind of like questions to ask of how would I put this into today's kind of world. I don't think you're like a scammer and need to talk about that. It's more of, is society structured in the way that's fair? And what can you do about it? What knowledge can you do to learn about this? I know this is quite deep, but this is just how it's coming through from this, from your past life, right? From your past life. It's understanding many different aspects from like education, what's fair in education, what's fair to the most vulnerable of us all, because while the light attribute is being able to survive or learning to conquer fear, there's also a fear of feeling like you have to survive, like it's really primal almost, like there's things out to get you, or that feeling of. Okay, so you have Grandmother Spider. This has a message of guidance, connection, and ancient wisdom. Really interesting with teacher coming out as well. And even this golden palace, it feels like old kind of like structures, like caste system almost feeling, and toppling that because it's like that's changed. You know how many things have changed in history? How can you even do your part? I feel they're coming through with a big message, so I have to kind of deliver it like that. There's so many things, like what is this correct? Like so many things. Is the what's the makeup of the world? What needs to be taken out and what kind of things need to be put in from the heart space. And there's some stuff even that was old, because old systems might have fallen. Doesn't mean everything from back in the day was bad. Doesn't mean everything in the back in the day was good, because some people want to turn it all the way back. I feel like connecting with nature is absolutely great, like how that's kind of coming through. But going back into the past where there was so many wild different things, it wasn't all perfect. You know, there's many, you don't want to go backwards. You want to go forwards with knowledge from now, the past, and what you want to see in the future. Okay. And you have Chameleon with the energy. This is really interesting, actually, because the Chameleon is all about matching the environment. And sometimes that's fine, right? Fitting in or being able to blend in, but there can be like a positive and a negative to that. Positive feels like blending in so you can kind of like not infiltrate, but have a good look at what's around you and what's working and what's not. So you can influence, let's say, of what could be better. And then the shadow attribute is kind of feeling like fitting in so that you can just blend in and not make a fuss. And sometimes that's fine, and sometimes that's if things around you don't look good, and you have an ability to influence that or change it or whatever, especially in just a small part in your own life, in your own family, and your own self, then that might be something to look into. And energy is great because that's having the power to do this. This is showing you the confidence or strength kind of card coming through, but in a chameleon form. Okay, really interesting. Lots of knowledge from this past life. I don't know if they had a really long, short, whatever, but going from like somewhere quite challenging to even feeling like instead of this being the goal, like the money kind of being the goal, the actual feeling of freedom, real self feeling of freedom is how it's kind of coming through. Sorry about the light. The lights just decide to shine through. But I don't want to shut the blinds off because I'll have to turn on the light. Okay, so let's have a look at your tarot cards. Just what I was saying, the Magician's coming out saying you have the energy, the strength to do this. Even the Magicians, you've got your own, I guess, magical flavor that you've always had. You've always had it in the past life. You have it now. And it doesn't have to be world changing. Your past self, is kind of coming through with like a higher perspective kind of view. Take what resonates though. Take it how it feels right to you. So this says magic is alive in your life. What do you need to be successful will manifest? If you believe it, you can do it. The changes you want to see in your life, you've already done it before. You can do this again. When will you do it? How will you do it is up to you because you're the life living this life. This is a past life giving you advice or giving you the confirmation that you've done it before, you've done it in a challenging way before, you can do it again. Doesn't have to rule, the past doesn't have to rule your life. And there's a lot from the past that can be taken into this new kind of world. Really nice. Got the Queen of Cups, which is all about support to me, it feels like. But also it does touch, this is the most psychic kind of card as well. So it talks about loving, compassionate, psychic, and self-sacrificing. Deep psychic insight, caring for others but forgetting to take care of yourself, trusting your intuition, a deep love of family and friends, follow your heart. Really nice. I don't feel like I need to talk too much here because I feel like there's the psychic or intuitional side is important in this message, because it's like, hey, definitely take what resonates, but also what do you feel like what kind of messages do you feel like you've been getting but haven't been really paying attention to, because that's calling this out strongly with the Magician, because it's from like a very feminine kind of card to a very kind of masculine strength card. Also with Raziel, Archangel of Secrets or Mysteries. So it's like really old knowledge. And right next to this card talking about ancient wisdom. This is something that you've had in your, I don't know what it is, but it's like something you've had in the past that can really be useful to you now. You might want to do a meditation or something like that on it, past life regression, if you have someone that can walk you through that. Obviously up to you. I don't know anyone that does that you can get in touch with. I'm not too sure, but I've just heard about it and it just feels right for this reading. To really get what's really worth living for. Okay. You also have the Two of Wands. I like this because this is giving you the time and space to consider what are your passions, what's right for you, what's right for everyone, but especially with this, because this is looking after yourself and others. Sometimes at the detriment of yourself. And the Two of Wands is giving you the time and space. This doesn't feel like a rush job, this reading. This might come up, this might be relevant in 6 months, 9 months or something. So maybe you're watching this in the future, maybe it is now, maybe it is still 6 to 9 months from when you're watching this. All readings are intention to be there forever or be there for as long as they need to be for the highest good of all. That's how I intention them. Sorry about the light too. And then here you have the Ten of Swords. I feel like this is coming back into here. It's almost like a, hey, we've had, like, this is like your past self saying, we've had many lives. There's been many things that you would consider as a failure, but they're not failures, they're learnings. They're learnings what's right, what's wrong. Even the successes have secret kind of wins and losses involved in them. And the Ten of Swords is really about not giving up. It's about letting go, moving on from what didn't work or what hasn't brought you satisfaction, let's say, but taking the nuggets of knowledge that you won't be doing that again. And this past life is wanting to remind you don't have to repeat anything that you don't want to. You might go through similar challenges, but you don't have to repeat the things that have not worked. Even in the same lives, people go through cycles of self-doubt or something like that. We all have that, but it doesn't have to be the exact same kind of result, I want to say. This past life wants you to know that there's more out there. This connection section is just lighting up, especially with the orphan. There's a benefit to being like the solo lone wolf or a hermit, let's say. But there's also a benefit of connecting with yourself, with your guides, also with everyone. Everyone in the world, like everyone in the universe, I want to say, like the universe, the source of everything, if you want to call it that. There's definitely something with that. There's like connectedness in all of it. Something that you might have won but maybe didn't feel right doesn't mean you have to self-sacrifice. You don't have to go from one extreme to the other. Or if you see someone, you don't have to watch them go through one extreme or the other. I do want to read, there is a message of purpose with the grandmother spider. So I'm just going to read that from the book. So the oracle message in here is, you are connected to all that is, all that ever was, and all that will be. Weave the web of your own life with good thoughts, kind actions, and reverence for those who came before. Which is interesting because we're talking about past lives. We're talking about also family and ancestors as well. And the purpose meaning here is, your purpose is to connect with others, and your relationships are your purpose. It is your purpose to create something lasting and useful. So how can you embody Grandmother Spider? Consciously creating, lovingly connecting with others, helping and protecting others, giving advice, got teacher, studying ancient wisdom and traditions, having reverence for all life. I feel like this is a big thing that's coming through with this reading. Pile number 1 is that you have so much ancient historic knowledge, or there's so much knowledge out there that might even tap into things. I don't know specifically what that means, but it does feel like old lives, or how we did things in the past, or maybe even watching something about the pyramids or ancient Sumeria or something like that. I don't know if that will spark anything, but it might be something interesting. Or even what's coming through is like, what is this? It kind of looks like an old history of like, you know, if you're a Christian or even if you're not, like Jesus or something like that, like an old teachings outside of normal structure. There's like a lot of knowledge in something to do with that. What am I trying to say? It's not like just anything. It's there's more depth to the story, whether this is your life or even someone else's past life or someone's teachings that you follow. There's deeper knowledge than just the surface level stuff that you may have, or even there's actually more out there, I feel, with this reading. So much more out there that can help you get what you want out of life. And it doesn't have to be seen as a failure or a win, or as a self-sacrifice, or as self-centeredness, or as alone, or as connected. It can be a blend, and you got to find what's right for you, what you teach and what you don't say. There's so much more, there's so much in the middle, so much variance, I want to say. What a very interesting, powerful kind of reading. I hope this has helped in some way. I hope it's resonated with you, and hopefully you can kind of see, or maybe you can even dig deep into your past life, because this is ancient wisdom. It doesn't feel like something that's you'll snap your fingers and have all this knowledge. It's something that will come up when it needs to, and if you're prepared for it, you'll be able to utilize that knowledge to the best of your ability. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Sorry about the light. I'll probably have to close the blinds, unfortunately. But anyway, thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, part number 2. Welcome to your reading. There's a bit of light coming through, but I'm just going to leave it there because it's helping with the kind of... It just makes me feel good because it's the afternoon sun coming through. But you're pile 2, and you have chosen Kings of the East, talking about stability, authority, gifts, and male power. So this feels like really old, kind of patriarchy kind of energy. Good or bad, right? It's just is. It feels like it just is. And this feels like kind of coming to peace, or an understanding with two different kind of energies. So this is a message from your past life. So maybe you're very different to them, or something like that. We'll have a look at how that comes through. Okay, and you also have chosen the Angelite heart. I'm just going to pop that here. Okay, let's take a look at your oracle cards first. You have student. The light attributes is humility and devotion to knowledge, openness to lifelong learnings. This is great. Shadow attribute is arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action. Something interesting here with like this tree feeling and this child looking archetype figure reading a book and the tree. It's like the tree of life, tree of knowledge, something far back and ancestral kind of like history, let's say, wisdom from ancient past lives or something like that. So maybe even this past life was actually a lineage, if you know what I mean. Like this was like way back, but who you are now in this life may have been related to that figure. Something like that, kind of feeling like that. Maybe you've kept it in the family, let's say. Even here with these kings, because they kind of, you know, it's not like a great example, but like past old lineages or old families that were like kings, queens, that kind of thing, generally kept it almost within the family. If you look at like old Egyptian, they kind of had, you know, relatives as partners and that kind of thing. So it's feeling like keeping in the family, not in that kind of way, but you know what I mean. Like you now as being related in some way to a past life. Okay, probably not the best description, but you kind of hopefully understand what I mean. So you also have Saboteur, which is interesting. The light attributes is highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. This is interesting. Shadow attribute is induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Kind of interesting when it's right next to the Kings of the East. Talking about power, talking about male power specifically, but talking about stability, authority, and power. It does have gifts though as well. There's like, it's kind of like Saboteur. There's light attributes, is understanding what you are doing that's self-sacrificing, or even what's hurting yourself, or even others that hurt you. That's kind of like this, where the students are like learning. They're both dark colors, so it's like learning from shadows, learning from mistakes, learning from things that didn't work out. Even though it might have been like cruisy or like higher feeling, like when I was talking about the kind of incestuous royal families in many history and cultures and stuff like that, it's kind of like identifying that and wanting to shift that, wanting to shift the things that don't feel good. Like you're almost like you were put into this past life is kind of coming through more. It's like you were put into a family into a life to make a change, and maybe you're doing that now. Like what do they call it? Ancestral healing or something like that. Breaking a pattern or a cycle. Have a look how this comes through. Yeah, I feel like that's what it is. You've also got coming apart. This almost feels like a tower kind of card, like, you know, being broken down to rebuild better. And I don't know if maybe that's kind of something you've already been through in this life. And it's like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that challenge? Because that's what this is all about. Whatever you let, this is either like a tower moment in a big bang or slowly breaking apart, slowly crumbling. The tower is slowly breaking down, which feels so much harder. It's like staying in a connection that does not work for you, dealing with something or someone that's slowly drawing your energy. And that might have been in this past life, and it may have something to do with this life you're in now. What did you learn from there? Really interesting. Got Ma'at. The reason why I say it's interesting, Ma'at is like the kind of goddess of the underworld, I want to say, in Egyptian traditions. I could be wrong, but it's kind of like the feather and the heart on the scales. It's like the balance of what's you know, I think when you went into the afterlife, this is just coming through. I could be wrong with this feather, but it's just reminding me of that with my art as well. But it's like your heart got weighed against the feather, and if it was heavier than the feather, then you went into, like, I guess, quote unquote bad place. And then if it was lighter or equal, I feel like you went into the good place. Something like that. That's kind of how this is coming through. It is talking about balance, justice, which makes sense with the scales, and truth. Again, kind of coming from a darker energy. Not bad. It's just like the shadows can be turned into the blessings, or can be seen like the silver linings and the challenge, the kind of beauty in the challenge. It's not saying all challenges always look great, but there's always something to learn, something to take from it. And then your last oracle card is Bluebird with pleasure. This does feel like freedom, like this coming apart, this kind of judgment, this kind of balance, even the saboteur, and this kind of energy. Maybe your past life had to deal with this energy as well. So there's something to do with changing up the system and rebuilding in a better way. This Bluebird feels free. This pleasure is like finding pleasure in life, finding happiness and real, the real people you're supposed to be, with the real you're supposed to be. Okay. That already feels pretty heavy, like pretty deep, I want to say. But I want to say that I feel like you've already been through many things in this life, and maybe even in past lives as well, that may have related to this. And so it's your opportunity, I feel, to break something, break the cycle, break even away from the ancestral kind of patterning. However you do that is up to you, and I feel like you will pick what's right for you. Okay, so you have the Two of Fire or Two of Wands. We're taking the next step, bold and ambitious choices, partnering with others who share your dreams, expanding your plans, continue to move forward. Yeah, it's kind of like the lessons from the past, taking the what's right and going forward with whatever you do. This is really open because it's like the whole world. So many people have many different paths, and you are another person on a path. But whatever's happened in the past, don't let that stop you. It doesn't have to be hard, and when I say hard, it's like so many different people can feel different things about different situations. Some people might be fine with something happening, whereas some people might, come apart with something happening. The same thing, but different people feeling different things. And the way you feel is got to be honored and true to you. Oh, another fire card. So you've got the King of Wands with motivational, inspirational, theatrical, and ambitious. Take a leadership role, step into the spotlight, public speaking, keep your eyes on the big picture, communicate your visions, don't be sensitive to criticism. Yeah, this might be that don't be sensitive to criticism might even come up for you sometimes. It's not about criticizing you, it's about helping you move through, or you move forward. Because this is definitely coming through with like fires, like lighting a fire under your butt. Keep going. And also it's showing that it's that kind of tree moving on from the past, or from ancestral kind of patterns. Oh wow, you've got the King of Wands again. Very different here, because you got King of Fire, King of Wands. This is more like New Age, kind of like, not New Age as in spirituality, but New Age as in modern times, like today's days. Same message though, really strong with the King of Fire coming out twice. I'm going to put him there. Again, pushing for that stepping up, stepping out, putting yourself out there. If it's your truth, why not? Why don't you become the person who pulls down the things that don't work for you, and put up a structure in a way that you want, in a way that's like enjoyable, pleasurable, whatever pleases you. Okay. So much fire. So much fire, pile number 2, sorry. 10 of Wands. You may have to, I feel like for this, it's like, it's definitely talking about something ambitious, something that you wanted to do or want to take or want to even just moving your life in a direction that's right for you. And here it's got like, maybe you've had some stuff in the backlog. Drop what you doesn't resonate anymore and pick up what does. And even if that's not true, and it's more like the 10 of Wands is like things that are cluttering your day, to avoid this, or not to avoid it. I feel like some may be avoiding it, but it's just like, oh, but there's too much going on. I have too much. I have other things I need to do. What's more important? Question yourself. It's not a problem to question yourself, even if you stay the same and pick the same life, the same situation, the same thing that's going on. This is just an option from this past life that's kind of coming through. It's like, hey, we've been through it. Choose you. That's pretty much what I see here. Let this be the motivation, because you might be like, even him sitting here just looking at the fire, he's like, he's got the fire, he's got the wand. What's he going to do with it? He's kind of like sitting at a crossroads or a bridge or something. It's like, what do I do from here? You've got all the knowledge, everything you've learned in time. What is right, what feels right, what is actually honorable. All the past challenges you've been through, what is correct? What do you want to stop cycling on or seeing in your life? Because it doesn't have to be there. If you don't want it there, it doesn't have to be there. But it's got to be a choice. Let this be the fire, of course, that gets you motivated. It's not like forcing you to do anything. Past life knows you, obviously, because you are them, they are you, in a sense. So choose what's right for you. But this is the message that you've been given today, pile number 2. That was interesting. A dog just came up to the window. Alright, so I do want to read my art as well. So I feel like your past life has a message here. So the oracle message with this card is, do what is right, live with light in your heart, seek harmony, and speak your truth with love. And the purpose section of this card is, your purpose is to be a voice for the voiceless, stand up for what you believe in, to be a spiritual activist, and walk the path of life. So, path of light. So how do you embody this goddess? You have choosing what is right and good over what is easy, standing up for others, speaking your truth lovingly, listening to the truth of others. That's absolutely fair too, because it does go both ways. Not judging others or yourself, living a good life, following the 42 laws of Ma'at. You might want to look that up too. I don't know these personally, but 42 laws of Ma'at. Maybe there's something there that you can glean if it resonates to you. Almost flick the coming apart of. But this coming apart feels like it's not a bad coming apart. It's the need to open up, crack open the old structures and see the real you, the real truth of yourself, speaking that, living that, really living it, really burning it up. Okay. Well, that's exactly what I see in your reading, pile number 2. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Please take care of yourself and take what resonates with this reading, of course, as always. But take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number 3. So we've got a bit of a light show going on. But today you have chosen the world with the message perfection, completion, victory, and religion. Really interesting because we're talking about a past life. So it already feels like a successful kind of life, whether they got, however they lived, right? It's like they got what they wanted out of that life. And you've also chosen the peach selenite. So this kind of makes me feel like this is the right way of doing it, the most, I guess, let's say, quote unquote, ethical way. Okay. So just a little bit of light there. So let's take a look at your oracle cards today. So you have Companion. The light attribute is loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. The shadow attribute is betrayal by misleading confidence, loss of personal identity. This feels really good. It feels like understanding the balance between when you're in a connection or with someone, knowing who you are and what you add to that connection, and know who they are and what they add to the connection, instead of being a conglomerate of both. You do blend some things, of course, in connections, but you're not total individuals, and you're not totally bound together as like a new compound, let's say. There's always a balance of personal and togetherness. That's how this is coming through. So it does feel like successful of actually understanding what is right. So maybe you've been through that kind of lesson, let's say, in this life, learning who you are as an individual and learning who you are as as a mother and daughter, or mother and son, or father and son, whatever, or even as husband and wife, or whatever, husband, wife, whatever. Okay. Ooh, I love this. You also have Healer, with passion to serve others by repairing the mind, body, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. I want to say you have something kind of important to teach. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to do anything necessarily. It's just more of like your learnings are helpful to others. The shadow attribute is taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. That is probably where this is coming from. Failing to care for oneself. Looking out for yourself. Make sure you do both. Okay. You also have Compass. It is reversed. But Compass is all about knowing which is right and where you're going. And even reversed, it feels like knowing where you've come from so you know where to go now. Especially here, did you look after yourself? Did you feel like you were still able to know who you are with or without friends and family, knowing yourself as an individual and knowing yourself as a friend and relation partner, etc., etc. So this is about past, and we're talking from a past life, right? Of course, but it's like there's more in just your personal own past, current life, as well as this kind of past life character that's coming through. It's like things will work out. Things worked out. They'll work out again. It's just continuing on, making sure you're choosing what's right. Letting the past be a teacher more so than something that is you choose fear-based. You don't want to choose by fear, it feels. You want to choose by utilize that shadow or that fear as motivation to know who you are and what's right for you. Ooh, okay. I was just talking about shadows. There we go. So you've got Kali with shadows, ego, and illusions. Shadows and illusions kind of feel the same. You don't want to choose by fear. You don't want to choose by, let the ego take over. Sometimes the ego takes over and says, you have to keep healing people. You can't look after yourself. People always think the ego is negative, like not looking after people and just focusing on yourself. There's also the other way as well, just focusing on healing others and letting yourself kind of deteriorate. It's like, no. And then you have the octopus with intelligence. Yeah, this past life is very knowledgeable, very new. Didn't just know a lot. It's not like old wisdom. It's like learning from experiencing. Like the intelligent, you picked it up very quickly in a past life, and maybe through many of your past lives actually. You picked up things really fast. And you know what's right. But sometimes you can be the smartest person in the room and still make the worst choice for you because you might be worried about how people see you. how you feel, or shadows going, you're selfish, so pick this kind of thing. Really interesting reading pile number 3. Oh, you have the King of Cups. Trustworthy, honorable, devoted, cautious. Someone you can completely trust. A situation that is safe. A solid romantic relationship. Hidden but well-intentioned emotions. A charitable benefactor. And seeing a counselor. That's so important. Even the seeing the counselor kind of feels like really taking in what isn't working and what is working, and how you can, if you can't deal with it or process it through whatever other means you've used, maybe speaking to someone is the right way, is the actual strength, the real strength. And you also have the star, very nice, with Jophiel coming through, angel of beauty and wisdom. Again, like there's almost like beauty within the challenges. There's silver linings, let's say. But you've got the star with having faith in the future. Have faith, the future is bright. Dreams coming true. Positive changes that bring an end to challenging times. The light at the end of a tunnel. It's almost like keeping a positive attitude, right? But also acknowledging that you've been through some stuff. Okay. You have the Nine of Swords, which we all know is kind of like, again, touching on illusions, because the Nine of Swords is an illusion. It's like worries or fears of things that may happen. Even here, it feels like he's up late at night to not just research, but just to see what maybe people think or feel or say about this person, or what's their opinions, or what's happening out there, or just worrying about even what he might be reading the news, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many different things. It's like just worry. It really is about worry. And like it's coming up under here with talking about seeing a counselor. It's like being a good, like trying to do what's right and being a good person from like a emotional, heart-centered kind of way. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're weak, right? You're still strong, even if you're like have the emotional intelligence here. There's still, it's okay to have like good or bad days. I feel like this past life is really feeling for maybe something you've been through, maybe something you're going through now, just like really feels for you, because they know what it's like. Obviously they're you, right? So they're really like I guess expressing themselves, wanting to express themselves more. You may want to connect with this past life as well yourself, just to see. I don't think their life is really what they want to bring through. They just want to bring through the support and the heart. And you also have the Eight of Swords. Really interesting. You're getting 2 swords here. Talking about, here he's got an F. And again, we've got this image of the world. And here with this person, this character kind of, it's not really the world necessarily, but standing on top of it, being the master of it, and feeling like how just because you can do that doesn't mean I can. But you can do this. Just because something didn't work out in the past doesn't mean it stops you from doing what you can do now. Don't let ego take over or control your life. Ego is important. That's why we came here, to experience it and to really utilize what messages or what learnings we can gain from it, but not to have it control, not to have the shadows control. More like if a shadow comes up for me personally, I'm not perfect, but like if something comes up and it triggers like a shadow, I'm like, oh, I remember you came up because of XYZ. I'm not going to just like fear this because this happened in the past. I'm going to let this remind me that I can do whatever I want to do, whatever I'm going for, whatever I'm manifesting in my life, let's say. Because you still have the light at the end of the tunnel. You will be, it feels like you will be successful. Whatever you do, you'll get to the point where you'll feel satisfaction, satiety, something like that. You'll get there. So many things here. There's like your path feels like you're joined with like many other people are part of your path, I feel, or vice versa. You're part of many other people's paths. You're all kind of, there's so many lives that are interconnecting, I feel, in your current life and even in your past lives. You're learning many things through connections, I want to say. It's interesting because we see octopus as like living very short, and I feel like your soul, which your past life is obviously the same soul, sees these lives as short as well, but so much knowledge is gained from it. So much intelligence is built up just in these short lives. What I mean by short lives is like, you know, you might live to 100, but in like a millennia, let's say, it feels like a short thing. But so much can be gained from this, and so much already is gained. So you're not on the wrong path. This is more like fear. You already got a lot, and whatever you want to kind of push for is there for you, and you can do it in the most healing way for you personally as well as for others. This is about a blend, not a total isolation or amalgamation into someone else's someone else's life. Okay, that's exactly what I see for you today, pile number 3. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Please take care of yourself, and hopefully this has resonated. Again, you may want to do like there must be a YouTube or something with a meditation for a past life. You might want to intention this particular one because I feel like this one's really strong. Really been through a lot, knows what it's like and how hard it is to have I guess an ego or be on this planet at this time. Maybe not at this time, but you know, the past wasn't much easier in some certain places, depending on who you were, etc. Anyway. So take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number 4. Welcome to your reading. So you've chosen the Howlite as well as the Baron of Birds. So I'm just going to pop that there. So the Baron of Birds talks about theft, concealment, and running away. Really interesting card you picked today. So we'll see how this past life and the message from this past life will help you with your life today. Okay. So first card is the Artist. So interesting because even this kind of character is carrying birds, right? But he also has like a horseshoe crab helmet, and then he's naked. Like, it's just such an artist kind of thing to do. I don't know why. Just feels that kind of like eccentric character. But the light attribute is expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the 5 senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. Shadow attribute is using talents as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. Interesting. This running away here is just very interesting. It's kind of like feeling like escapism or something like that. Oh, okay. You also have Vampire. The light attribute of a vampire is making you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. Really interesting. It's almost like making a deal. Not hopefully not with the demon, right? But like making a deal is kind of coming through. Maybe it's with like a big company and say you don't have to be an artist specifically. It's just like expressing yourself through your hobbies or passion. That's kind of how this is feeling. But being an artist and doing, you know, amazing work and doing whatever you want, and then signing a contract with a company that you think will bring wealth or whatever, and then losing your identity in that. So it's like that is draining you. Alright, so the shadow attribute is depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. Chronic complaining feels so much like running away. It's really interesting that theft could be right next to the vampire, could be someone taking something from you or feeling like you are stuck because you're being slowly sapped, like leached from. And that could be something like that contract I was talking about. Or it could literally be just very clearly someone taking something, or you taking something that wasn't yours, let's say. You also have the elephant here with listening. Really nice, because this is like, this listening card is really interesting. It's about not just hearing what is said, hearing what is not said. Picking up on those cues. It's like, you can be here or leave the situation or something like that, but what is really at the heart of the issue or heart of the situation? I feel like that's really important in your reading today. Listening and artist, so really interesting, very like sensing, listening, feeling like sensing. I can't remember what it is, like clear audience, I think it's called. It's like something outside of the natural kind of what we're told we have. There's so much more. Because there's like psychic vampires as well. There's like weird beings around, I feel. Just starting to pick up on so much more, I feel, as well. Really interesting. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. You've got the priestess. This is talking about the journey, initiations, blessings, and activation. The priestess in this deck is the only card that doesn't relate to a particular goddess. It's like you being your own goddess, right? You picking your own path. And I feel like that's super strong in this reading. You're not being influenced, or even if someone isn't influencing you, the past can always sometimes feel like they've still got a hold on you, even though they don't talk to you, you don't talk to them. So there's something in the past that's holding on to it. I feel like you can release this. You might even be able to release this old thing, like your past life might have made a contract with something, or like not a contract with like a person, but like a contract with yourself saying, I will not experience this again because this did not work out. But that now, how the world's changed to today, it's like that old belief or old contract doesn't resonate today with today's life, in your life. It's something now that's actually a detriment. It's kind of like saying, I will never have a relationship or something in any lives ever again because in this past one, someone hurt me really badly and, I lost something dear to me. It's like now it's time to release that because it's like an old thing. So it's like, this no longer resonates with me. I'm going on my own unique, new, brand new for this soul's life path. Oh, you've got Wagtail with essence. Really interesting with the wagtail. Kind of reminds me in New Zealand of a fantail. They kind of have this, so they like flit their tails to like make sharp turns in the air to like catch bugs in the air. Kind of reminds me of that. Really interesting because it's like, again, another dark card. Also, the lights are going really dim because afternoon sun is starting to set here in Australia. But it's like, shadows, also shadows here, lots of darkness and darkness here. It's like there's like a breaking away potentially from that, starting to. I'm really feeling like you can get the message yourself, like with your own psychic abilities or something like that. You can get this, you know what's right, you know what's where you want to go, or you don't have to know exactly what you want, but you know what you don't want. Start letting that be the indicator of where you go. Move away from what you don't want. The essence kind of feels like taking what's good from the past and using that for this new path, this new journey, the new initiation, which is the priestess kind of path as well. There is like a specific message in there, and I'll read that once I get to it. Okay, interesting. You've got the 5 of Fire, which is interesting because it's looking at many past lives. You may have had a few past lives where you have like all this ability, let's say, all these different things that you can do, but something stopped you, a feeling has slowed you down or halted certain aspects. And I feel like now you can express that. Do it. Do it. Okay. The 5 of Fire is conflicts with others caused by opposing opinions. Walking away from drama, unless the situation is really worth your time, then stand up for yourself. Very ambitious people. You also have the Four of Pentacles, which is interesting because it's not that this image is really showing it, but it feels like holding back something because of fear of something. Like not moving forward because of fear of losing what you have. But if you have what you don't want, then moving forward isn't really losing, it feels like. Okay. So he's managing your resources wisely, extremes in how you give or receive money, time, or emotions, smart business decisions, seeing things as black or white, being charitable. Yeah, seeing things as black and white is really strong here. It's like, this is light, this is shadow, but there's so much in between. You have the Page of Swords. Really interesting. This does feel like picking up on the psychic vampire. It's like, you know how it's like giving someone the eye, or like giving daggers in their eyes or something like that, throwing daggers at someone. It's like feeling like you're being judged, or yeah, judged. I want to say judged with this particular Page of Swords. It's just like, it really feels like moving away from what isn't right for you. Oh, and then we have the Ace of Pentacles. I really like this because this feels like starting again, starting anew, starting fresh. Planting the seeds that will actually give you what you want. Or at least planting the seeds of like, I do not want to, you don't want to focus on the old and negative, right? But do you want to move forward? So it's like focusing on, yes, what you want. But if you don't know specifically what that is, it's like, I want to build a life that is more fruitful, more self-caring, more self-loving in the future. And just starting with that and just seeing where that takes you, because it's not about the destination. It's all about the journey. Whew, so really interesting one, especially since you chose the booty man, running away with his birds. Concealment. There's not a thing of isolation or running away, and that's the opposite. You don't have to go with, I'm just going to stay here because I ran away before, or I'm going to run away because I stayed in one place and it didn't work out. You can just forge your own path. There's not a black and white answer here. There's a true, pure your path. Look at your surroundings. Look in the mirror as well, with what you've been through, and be proud of what you've done. Like, give yourself some acknowledgement for your skills, your abilities, your gifts, I want to say. That's how your past life really wants to bring this message through. They're here to support you, remind you, through kind of like your soul, at a soul level. So much more to be experienced and felt. And with these kind of cards here, the Ace and the Page, it's like that beginning of a new idea, a new way of you being you. Okay, before I finish and before the sun goes really dark, because it's getting really dark in the room now, you've got the Priestess. So the oracle message here is, you have been initiated into the Priestess path. Open up to all the blessings, power, and protection available to you now. And the purpose message is, your purpose is to walk with the goddess, to become the priestess, and support others on this path in whatever way you feel called to do so. And that could be creating something that helps not just you, but feels right. Like, it's like, you know, how people make artwork. They might not be, you know, helping others specifically on their path, but they're just being themselves. They're just doing it naturally. It shouldn't feel forced. All right, so how do you become the priestess? By recognizing your own power, connecting with devotional practices, seeing yourself as an aspect of the goddess, initiating yourself. Yeah, this is all about you, yourself. owning and accepting all parts of you, remembering your own divinity. Okay, I'm going to quickly turn on the light. Okay, so that's exactly what I see in your reading today, pile number 4. Thank you so much for being here. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye!